usually for sentimental reasons. Another marriage possibility is one that allows widows, if they wish, to join with their children the family of one of the deceased's brothers. The exchange of cows is the common currency for all these unions. The three options described, and the possibility of condemnation on both parts, motivate a continuous coming and going of men, women, and cows that finally comes to order with a marriage feast that takes place once the rainy season arrives. Adama is Hasi's grandmother and Mama's mother. She is 67 years old, a very advanced age for Uodabi women, who rarely live more than 55 years. She is very happy about her granddaughter's future wedding. The bus station of Niamey is the most important place in the city. It is the meeting point for those who come from the desert and those traveling to the south. A place to unload merchandise and where you will find men moving in all directions. Today, the bus stations in Africa fulfill the same functions as the old stations during the time when the caravans still traveled. Mama and Hamidou will go to the north. It is a long journey to the camp of Mama's family. The bus that leaves from Niamey takes 15 hours to reach Tagwa. There, they will take another vehicle until they reach an intersection where an asphalt road appears. From there on, only trucks enter from time to time, carrying merchandise to the village of Chintabaraden.
Le chef de l'État a rassuré les Kenyans sur la tenue du scrutin présidentiel du 26 octobre.
Hey! Addressing security concerns over the North Korea threat, American President Donald Trump backs China on U.S. commitment to stopping the nuclear threat.
You blame past administration.
Money fall on you, banana fall on you.
Hey guys, my name is Jackie Pia. Do you want to act? If the answer is yes, well, I'm going to be live in Togo. All you have to do is send OK to the numbers below. Don't miss out.
To participate in the project of professional cinema in Togo, register by sending OK to 7777 on the network Togo cell and follow the instructions. Together, let's globalize the Togolese cinema.
Do you want a television that is engaging? Then watch our 8 channels and let yourself be transformed. New World Info French keeps you up to date on current affairs and presents you with programs on politics, economic, social topics and influential films in French. With New World Info English, watch news and current affair programs in English. New World Cinema brings you movies of all kinds, series and sequel, telenovelas, and youth entertainment for your moment of relaxation. New World Transnat, an innovative channel exclusively dedicated to programs in vernacular and local dialect, a common band to African countries for promoting local languages. New World Magazine presents you with cultural programs of all forms through educational and fun programs. New World Music, the top music of all ages and kinds. You will enjoy the diversity of African, American, European, Asian, gospel music and many more. New World Sport 1 brings you all the statistics and features on sport disciplines in Africa. With New World Sport 2, watch big championships and tournaments live and all sport disciplines in Europe and around the globe. New World TV, a channel that transforms you.
Hello and welcome to News Brief with me, Jerry Martinez at your way. Let's take a look at the headlines. The coffin of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe is on display at his private residence in Harare after the repatriation of his body from Singapore. And now to Juba. The Sudanese government and rebel leaders signed the Juba Declaration on Negotiation Principles, wrapping up a 3-day peace talk hosted in South Sudan. South Sudanese President Salva Kiir and rebel leader Riek Machar reaffirmed their commitments to the mid-November deadline for the formation of a transitional government of national unity. More than 6 months after the general elections in Nigeria, an Abuja court has validated the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term in a result contested by the opposition. And lastly, with some international news, demonstrators clashed with police in Buenos Aires after thousands of Argentines took to the street to demand that the government declare a state of food emergency. And now to the news in details. The remains of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe returned to his home in Harare before several days of tribute and a national funeral in a country divided by the highly controversial legacy of the 37-year-old absolute rule. The coffin of Robert Mugabe is put on display at the Blue Roof in his private residence in Harare. Mugabe's remains arrived in the country on Wednesday to be buried early next week in his village and not at a monument dedicated to the heroes of the nation as the government had hoped. It was in this stadium that Robert Mugabe had on April 18, 1980, taken over the reins of the former white-dominated Rhodesia from his former white leader Ian Smith. Covered in a Zimbabwean gold, red, green and black flag, the coffin was removed from the aircraft and carried by soldiers to a podium where Robert Mugabe's successor Emmerson Mnangagwa and his widow Grace Mugabe, all dressed in black, were seated. The burial site of the deceased leader, scheduled for Sunday, has still not been revealed and is, according to indiscretions, the subject of a disagreement between the family and the authorities.
Opened up doors, especially for education. And today, as a nation, we are people who are able to own our own land and have our own country and have rights to our own country, even as young people. So I think he played quite a big role in making sure that the nation is liberated as well. And that's why it's important for us to be here as young people.
It's important for me to be here because we used to come for the former president's birthday parties. So coming here to also give him, bid him a farewell was actually a great honor. Yeah, so that's why it's important for us to be here as well.
The 3-day Sudanese peace talks end in South Sudan with the signing of the Juba Declaration on pre-negotiation principles by the Sudanese government and rebel leaders for a comprehensive peace agreement. The negotiation between the military and the leaders of the protests in Sudan on the composition of a future transitional sovereign council had caused a lot of trouble starting more than a month after the army overthrew President Omar al-Bashir. Thousands of Sudanese had been camping outside the army headquarters in Khartoum since April 6, having asked for the transfer of power to civilian administration. The negotiations, which were suspended by the military council, resumed and had made significant progress following mediation from the African Union and Ethiopia. The peace agreement has led to a sharp decline in violent clashes, although it has not completely ceased. The accord, which followed the inauguration of the Sovereign Council and the swearing-in of the new government, will see the transition to civilian power just over 3 years.
For our part, we will do our utmost to ensure the success of this stage of the negotiations aimed at the triumph of a permanent and imperative peace.
Salam, Adil, wa Mustadam.
We assure them and the Sudanese people in general that all suffering, killing and exclusion will cease and they will pay a high price to stop the damage of war, restore peace and eliminate marginalization.
I said that even when we urge you Sudanese to bring peace to your country, we are not also at peace with ourselves in South Sudan. It goes without saying that if, and I said before when I mentioned the name of Dr. Riek Machar, we should benefit from this experience of today.
Still on the issue, South Sudanese President Salva Kiir and rebel leader Riek Machar reaffirmed their commitment to meet the mid-November deadline for the formation of a transitional government of national unity at a meeting in Juba. The formation of this body is a key element of the peace agreement signed in September 2018 in Addis Ababa, which includes the appointment of Mr. Machar as the first vice president. This government was originally scheduled to be formed in May, but Mr. Machar, concerned about the security situation if he had returned to Juba, had been given an additional 6 months. The rebel leader, who first returned to the capital in October for the ceremonies marking a signing of the agreement, says the new visit had made significant progress. Salva Kiir and Riek Machar, whose enmity was at the root of the civil war into which the country sank in December 2013, also agreed to meet again soon to further their discussions.
And I've come back to Juba. Even if I go away for some time, the next coming, maybe IGAD will determine my status to be free to come and discuss more with you here. But our discussion here, we have made important progress.
I want to listen to you.
And now to Nigeria. More than 6 months after the general elections, an Abuja court has validated the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term, a result that the opposition contested. The petition requesting the annulment of the presidential result was entirely rejected by the judges of the appeal court, adding that the plaintiffs had not gathered enough evidence to support the accusations of electronic system failures. The opposition had filed a request in March to have the result annulled, but this latest court decision was expected and is no surprise to anyone in Nigeria. Local and European observers had highlighted serious problems in the organization of the vote, including the delays in opening of polling stations, intimidation of voters, destruction of election materials, and at least 53 deaths in electoral violence. But the Buhari government has already been formed and took office last month.
The judgment has been delivered. Our legal team will study it. Our legal team will study it, and then we'll come out with official statement. This is what we are going to do.
They're choosing to submit to the judicial process to review their grievances. And they've had ample opportunity to lay their allegations, and they've had opportunity to speak, to prove those allegations. We've had opportunity to question those allegations, and the courts have arrived at a decision to the effect that the allegations were unfounded.
Yeah, there's no question about that we are appealing this judgment. A lot of things are wrong with it. Poor evaluation of evidence, non-evaluation of evidence, misplacement of exactly what the case of the petitioners is. Appealing against the judgment is as certain as death. There are 5 very good heads that have had this election petition. At the Supreme Court, there will be 7 very, very good heads that will hear the appeal from here. There's no question about that.
And now to wrap up with some international news, demonstrators clashed with police in Buenos Aires after thousands of Argentines took to the street to demand that the government declare a state of food emergency. These protesters, including many families with young children, intend to camp for 48 hours on Avenue of July 9th in the heart of the capital at the call of several association and trade union movements. Another demonstration in the form of a popular meal took place in May Square in front of the presidential palace. For hard-beaten locals on East 3rd Street, talk of stock market, the strength of the safe haven dollar is a reasonable middle-class obsession, and that the priority is to put food on the table. Long and silent lines were formed in the alleys outside as women with toddlers, the elderly and disabled shuffled up to kitchen doors, shopping bags ready to take away food, water and other basic necessities for survival. Argentina's economic tailspin has been the peso lose half of its value, unemployment soar, and the economy shrink by 5.8% in the first quarter. Argentines have also seen their earnings, savings and purchasing power diminished.
La policía vino y nos tiró grasa y nos pegó con los escudos y nos reprimió. Se abalanzaron en nosotros. Nosotros estamos sujetando un banderín nada más. Y se abalanzó a nosotros.
We are about to start a new demonstration with a camp that will remain in place for 48 hours in the face of a complete lack of response to basic demands in a country devastated by unemployment.
Thanks for joining us on this bulletin. Stay tuned and keep watching World TV.
L'éducation est la base du développement. Être acteur de l'éducation, c'est un privilège. Vous êtes acteur de l'éducation, vous êtes donc indispensable. Faites-vous connaître. Une université, un institut, un centre de formation, une école, profitez de nos offres spéciales pour porter votre visibilité. New World TV, par sa promotion spéciale rentrée, vous accompagne dans la diffusion de vos annonces. Contactez-nous au +228 22 55 19 33 ou sur le 70 26 76 76 96 93 93 10 ou encore sur notre mail commercial@newworldtv.com.
Bonjour, je suis Horacio Freitas. Je vous invite tous, mes chers frères et sœurs, à venir avec nous pour que le cinéma togolais explose et que ça se développe de façon très positive afin que la culture togolaise émerge davantage. Je vous remercie, je vous dis à très bientôt. Ciao.
Pour participer au projet de cinéma professionnel au Togo, inscrivez-vous en envoyant OK au 77 77 sur le réseau Togocel et suivez les instructions. Ensemble, mondialisons le cinéma togolais.
trucks enter from time to time, carrying merchandise to the village of Chintabaraden. Chintabaraden is the center of the world, at least for hundreds of Uodabi families just like Mama's who live a nomadic life. It is not a large village, but on market days you will see lots of Uodabi people who leave their camps to buy, sell, or just to look around. But not only Uodabi people visit Chintabaraden. They share territory with the Tuaregs. The real region of the Tuareg people is located closer to the north, towards Agadez. But after the war that they fought against the Niger government from 1991 to the year 2000, they were obliged to take refuge far from their territory. We could say that this is their southern frontier. In fact, it was here where the war started, the place chosen by the rebels to execute their first hostile actions against the Niger army. Chintabaraden has only one long street with 2 shops that sell Coca-Cola and stalls where the nomadic people can buy some small items. The days prior to the feast, the village looks wonderful. The Uodabi go to the market to buy things to decorate their clothes. They sell the unproductive cows or goats and buy bracelets, bird feathers, strings for necklaces, and colored fabrics. The Uodabi have never been craftsmen. The nomadic way of life is incompatible with the tranquility that craftsmanship requires. They buy or barter for everything they may need at the market. That is, every cloth or any object for their day-to-day lives. Mama and his colleagues in the association are trying to change this situation. They have created some craftsmanship workshops so that they do not need to depend on manufactured objects so much. These workshops are already working in Niamey, and one of the main objectives for their trip is to recruit more members for the association. The road ends in Chintabaraden. From here to the north, a wide space of virgin plains opens up, which is the real home of the men who we see walking around the market. From here on out, Hamidou and Mama will walk their way to where the family's camp is settled.
After leaving Chintabaraden behind, for the first time I feel like I've crossed a frontier. This feeling has nothing to do with lines on a map, but with the perception of invisible limits, of places where something ends and a door opens to the unknown. I feel rather strange walking alongside Mama in the middle of nowhere. It's really something new, but at the same time I feel as if I've always been here.
Deja definitivamente su condición de instituto emisor y lo propio ocurrirá con la Casa de la Moneda. Estamos ya en el tiempo que dedicamos a la cultura, tiempo de Cusa Campillo del Campo. Es una información que elabora nuestra compañera Cusa, como les decimos, nuestra compañera Cusa Campillo del Campo. Voces de Europa cantan hoy en Santiago de Compostela. Se trata de una coral de la que forman parte chicos del 316.
What are you listening to on the radio?
It is the Spanish radio. I can only tune into it at night.
And tell me, Hamidou, what about Spain? What do they think about our people there?
It is really different. In Europe, people think we don't have any food or any culture. They know nothing about Africa. But Africans do not know anything about Europe either. In Spain, there are thousands of Africans that cross the ocean by boat, and upon arrival, they find themselves with no legal papers or work. It's not easy at all to earn your life there. People think they will become rich very quickly, but the truth is that you'll be very lucky if you get a job in a house. I live in Vitoria, in northern Spain, and people there respect immigrants. It's not the same in other places of Spain and Europe. You must be very careful when you walk along the streets. Also, you have to be careful not to get angry if someone insults you or treats you like an animal.
After 2 days of walking along the savannah, Hamidou and Mama finally reached the camp. It was not easy to find. Although during the rainy season people move less frequently, it is quite rare that they stay in the same place for more than 2 weeks. As they walk, they have been asking other nomadic people for information about Mama's family's location. The Uodabe are not very warm when it comes to welcoming people. Mama has not seen his family for several months, but nothing indicates that they have been separated for so long. For Hamidou, this is a deep emotional moment. Although he seems quite distant, Mama has been talking about his family these last few days. Lame and Tamaril, his children, his mother. He has expressed how much he wished to see them again. He has talked about them so much that Hamidou could easily recognize them even without previously being introduced.